Hello, colleagues, and thank you for joining us for this second GFOI webinar series focused on the NICFI High Resolution Satellite Data Programme, which has kindly been provided to the forest monitoring community free of charge by GFOI's leading partner, Norway, and through their partners at KSAT, Planet and Airbus. My name is Tom Harvey. I'm the manager of the Global Forest Observations Initiative Office, which is hosted by FAO but functions as an independent secretariat for all GFOI partners, components and activities, and anybody who is looking to collaborate in the delivery of forest monitoring and MRV support to tropical countries. It is my pleasure to be your moderator for today's session. Some of you may have joined our first webinar series on this topic back in late 2020, shortly after the NICFI Data Programme was first launched. That series focused on more fundamental issues such as how to access the data sets. Today, we'll be talking more about progress to date, progress in the uptake and the use of the data. We'll hear from countries about how they've been using the data in practice to improve their forest monitoring and greenhouse gas accounting capabilities, and ultimately inform their climate action and forest monitoring, forest management practices. We have a highly esteemed list of speakers today, which includes some welcome remarks from Ms. Karin Hertzberg from NICFI. We'll then hear about data availability and uptake from Ms. Charlotte Bishop from KSAT on behalf of the NICFI Data Programme team. And following that, we'll hear directly from countries about how they've been using this data in practice. We'll hear from Mr. Leng Shivan from Cambodia, who is the Director of the Department of Geographic Information Services and Cambodia's RED Plus and MRV Coordinator in the Ministry of Environment. We'll then hear from Hiru Sabrala Ahmed from Ethiopia, who is the Director of Forest Resources Assessment and Monitoring Directorate at the Ethiopian Ministry of Forestry, the Forestry Department. We'll then have plenty of time for questions and discussion with all of you, which will be moderated at the end of the session. However, we do invite you all to please start typing your questions as we go via the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Some of our presenters will do their best to type written responses as we go, but we'll any that aren't addressed there, we might come back to some of them at the end in the Q&A session for a discussion. So we have up to 90 minutes for the session today, so please feel free to type as many questions as you like. But I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you, and I'll pass over to our first speaker, Karin from NICFI. Karin, over to you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much, and it's a great pleasure for me on behalf of NICFI to welcome you all to this webinar. You're probably familiar with NICFI. I'd like to say a little bit about our work. Since 2008, Norway's International Forest and Climate Initiative has worked to combat deforestation and forest degradation in the tropics. The goals of the Paris Agreement would not be achieved without halting deforestation and forest degradation and increasing forest restoration. NICFI has an annual budget of around $300 million, and a significant part of this goes to support improved forest monitoring in the tropics. Improved monitoring of tropical forests is crucial to stop deforestation. The reason is that better forest data is necessary to underpin sustainable land management, low emission production, and law enforcement, among other things. Forest countries need to know when, where, and why deforestation is happening. Indigenous peoples need information on forests to manage and safeguard their territories. Companies and investors should be able to direct investments to deforestation-free production, and civil society should be able to hold companies and governments accountable. High-resolution data can drastically improve forest monitoring, but they have historically been expensive and difficult to access. We established the Satellite Data Programme to remove that bottleneck by making these data free and accessible. Our starting point was that satellite imagery should be a global public good. The program has now been in effect for almost 2 years. There are more than 14,000 registered users, and the number is still growing. In addition, the satellite imagery is made available through Global Forest Watch, Sentinel, FAO, and Map Biomas, reaching many more. The Satellite Data Programme has got a lot of well-deserved recognition. And earlier this year, we decided to extend the program until September 2023. High quality and timely monitoring of nature is only becoming more important in the face of the climate and nature crisis. We see that attention to the importance of protecting forests and other ecosystems is growing. I believe better monitoring and more transparency is an important part of this development. So, does the Satellite Data Programme make a difference, and how does it make a difference? This webinar is an opportunity to learn and discuss how the high resolution data is made into useful information for forest countries, and how that has helped countries work more effectively to stop deforestation. We hope that the experiences and results we will learn about today will inspire others to make use of the high resolution satellite data. We also believe that events such as this are important to connect countries, experts, and organizations working to stop tropical deforestation. I look forward to listening to the speakers and to the discussion. Thank you.
Lovely, thanks, Karin. And it goes without saying, but how grateful the GFOI and the broader forest monitoring community is to Norway for this incredible contribution to all of the forest monitoring and MRV activities in tropical countries, and to all of the development partners. So thank you kindly for your contributions and for your remarks. I'd now like to pass over to Charlotte Bishop from KSAT, who's going to talk about progress to date in the uptake of data. Over to you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Tom. Let me just share my screen and check everything is working. Can you see this screen in the right view?
Yes, we can see it we can see the notes at the bottom, so you might just need to press play.
Okay, let me. Is that better?
It's still in it's in the different presenter view, the dark screen. You might just need to change. There we go. That's perfect now. Oh, that was perfect just at the end. Sorry.
Okay.
It always plays tricks on us, Zoom, when you share the screen.
Really does. Okay, let's try that. Is that working, Tom?
It's thinking. It's about to come up, I think, and it is in the dark screen again, but we can definitely see it. I'm not sure what you did before you stopped sharing screen before, but it seemed to work then.
Okay.
Maybe if you change display settings, perhaps.
Let me try this again. It's always technology. What a wonderful thing.
Let's
try this again. Share.
It's thinking now.
Okay.
Third time lucky, I reckon, Charlotte. Oh, I might need to press play again.
No, it's still not working.
No, it's still. Maybe if you press display settings, will that help?
Yes. Now it's good.
Okay. Wonderful. Great. Tom, is that showing for you as well?
Yes, it is. Perfect. Thanks, Charlotte. Over to you.
Fantastic. So sorry for that, everyone.
Well done.
Hello.
Well done.
My name is Charlotte Bishop. As Tom says, I'm representing the NICFI Satellite Data Programme team today. So I'm from KSAT. KSAT run this program with our partners Planet and Airbus, and I'm just going to take you through a little bit of an update, or perhaps also a reminder, or if you're new to the NICFI Satellite Data Programme, hopefully some introductory information that tells you a little bit more about the programme that leads on really nicely from Karina's introduction and welcoming remarks. So as Karina mentioned, the kind of premise behind what led to this program was thinking about data, what data has been used historically for forest monitoring within the Earth observation sphere, and seeing how higher spatial resolution data that has typically been behind barriers such as licensing and cost can really make a difference to the information that we can gather from the forest areas. So this is an example of Landsat imagery historically used by the forest community, as well as other public data sets like Sentinel. And then if we look at this same area with the PlanetScope data, which is equivalent to what is available within this program, we see, a real step change that's kind of unparalleled in terms of the level of detail that we're able to extract from much higher spatial resolution data. And it was really this that I think kind of prompted those early discussions from NICFI that helped to design the program that we're going to talk about today. And then we're going to see some really nice examples from those joining us from the country representatives. But in addition to PlanetScope data, we also have spot data available for selected partners, and all of these data sets are available around the same spatial resolution, and we'll talk about that very briefly as well. So I just wanted to touch back on the project purpose. Karina also alluded to this as well, but really the idea of this program is to reduce and reverse the loss of tropical forests. So by reducing the barriers to access for this type of data and the type of information that can provide more detail to inform forest management practices and monitoring activities, it can help to contribute to combating climate change, conserve biodiversity, and of course facilitating sustainable development. That's really quite a broad purpose in many respects, and the idea being that it would reduce those barriers to access to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the different people that are using this data a little bit later on. As a reminder, or perhaps to show you the coverage of this program, the map that you see on the screen, everywhere you see an image is where the satellite data program covers. So this is essentially 45 million square kilometers, which between 30 degrees north and south, so covering the tropical forest regions. It's about 97 countries that are covered here. And you'll learn a little bit more as we talk about it, but every time we release a new mosaic, it covers this whole region. So it's really quite a large area, kind of unprecedented level of information that's being made available on a regular basis. And just to mention as well, so KSAT are leading this program. We're acting as service managers. We're supporting the help desk and the outreach. And of course, a lot of the data that's going into this program is from our partners. And that's really the bulk of what this program is offering. The Planet data is the largest proportion of what's available. It's available to the most users, and also Airbus data for selected users, which we'll talk a little bit about as well. And we can touch on some of these topics as we go through or in the Q&A. So to talk a little bit about the data products very briefly, I've left a little map on the screen so that you can think about this as we're talking about these products. But we provide two different types of images or mosaics, which cover this whole region. So we're not just delivering parts of these regions each time, we are delivering the whole area every time we deliver a new image. So we have visual mosaics, which are designed to be aesthetically pleasing, very easy to use, very quick for looking for change detection and other such activities, only available in 3 bands, so just optimized kind of red, green, blue. And then we have data that's ready for scientific analysis. So that is 4 spectral bands. It's designed to allow for more feature analysis and other more specific science analysis that users might be wishing to do. And that's available in 4 spectral bands, including the near infrared, which of course is very useful for vegetation analysis. And both of these mosaics are delivered exactly at the same time. They cover this entire area, and they're all derived from the PlanetScope imagery, and they're available just under 5 meter at 4.77 meter spatial resolution. So it's a consistent data set, as cloud-free as possible. So those mosaics are provided, as I say, both at the same time. So there's no time lag. You can choose which one you want to use, and therefore provides flexibility for different types of application. And those are available monthly from September 2020, which is when the program began, and they will continue until the end of the program. As Karina mentioned, that's currently until 2023, and there is a final possibility of extension to 2024, which would be the formal end of the contract if that extension is granted. And then we also have biannual archive, so the PlanetScope data also as an archive data set of mosaics back to December 2015. Those are not monthly, they are biannual, so every 6 months. And so those are also available to the users in the same way, with a visual and an analysis ready data set. We also have a historical archive of spot data back to 2002. Those are for selected partners. We'll talk a little bit about these different levels of access as we go on, but just to mention that those are also available. But I thought it was very important also to talk about impact. We heard a little bit about this in the welcoming remarks, but it's really quite interesting for us as the programme team to see how the programme has evolved and changed over the last 2 years. We have over 14,000 registered users now. It's probably nearer 14.5, I think. We have found that there are over 200 journal articles that are either have been published or in peer review that are referencing the NICFI Satellite Data Programme. And whilst 97 countries are covered by the programme, we have registered users from 155 countries. So we have a really growing user base from countries, so both country representation as well as organisations, which we'll look at on the next slide. And really we're seeing a growth in user stories that we're hearing from, and we're very, very much looking forward to hearing from our country representatives that are joining on the call today. So these are just some of the statistics and analyses that are useful for us to understand and also see the benefit that this programme is having to those who are using it. And these are the kind of things that we're finding from speaking with users about how this data is helping improve the forest monitoring in their region or for their country. It's allowing more information to be extracted, so more quantifiable information to be made available, and therefore that improves the reporting requirements to UNFCCC or under UN RED. So this data is adding a next level of information over and above what was available previously. But it also provides insights into causes of change. When you have monthly mosaics where the cloud cover is very low because we have such a high number of satellites that are collecting and contributing to these mosaics, then we're able to help understand what that change is. And therefore make real-time assessments of land cover. But also not just deforestation, we're able to look at regeneration and restoration, and there are a number of activities happening within the programme that are also looking at restoration activities, which are also very important to mention. We also have a number of private sector organisations who are using this data to support their zero deforestation commitments towards supply chain monitoring, for example. So there are other ways that this data is providing benefit. And all this is intended to do is to bring more transparency, improve decision making, and of course ultimately be a tool to help to reduce and reverse that deforestation, which comes back to the purpose of the programme. And just before we kind of look at some of the ways you can access this programme, I just wanted to come back to the levels of access. For those of you who may already be using this programme or who might be new to it, you may well see us refer to different levels of access. So I just wanted to kind of touch on what those mean. And if we'll start with level 1 access. So level 1 is where ultimately this data is served in a public platform. So if you're at level 1, you're not signing a license agreement, you're not registering to access the data. So ultimately you probably don't realize that you're accessing the data at this level 1. It is display only data. So it's these visual mosaics primarily, which are available in Global Forest Watch's tools, in Sentinel Hub, in CPAL, Open Forest tools from FAO, Map Biomass, and we have a couple of others hopefully coming online very soon, including Restore, which should be online in October. And then we have level 1. This is our core area. This is where we have the 14,000 plus users who are making use of these large area PlanetScope mosaics. So these are our visual and analysis ready mosaics. They are available to download and stream, not just view. They can be integrated into your own platforms or tools. And then of course, you can derive your own products from those as well. So it's a very flexible level of access. It's designed to be that way, to make it as accessible as possible. And we have a really wide range of users using this data at this scale. It's, that includes media, private sector, research, NGOs, collaborative organizations, and of course commercial industry as well. And just to touch on that point, this is a non-commercial license. However, the intention is not to remove the opportunity for commercial organizations or private sector to make the benefit of this program, but the purpose of usage must be in line with the purpose of the program. The intention is that this data shouldn't just be used in the pursuit of profit, which is why, of course, for supply chain monitoring in the private sector, this data can be used because it's positively supporting the activities of that organization. And then very finally, we have level 2 scenes. These are our selected partners. These are partners selected by NICFI directly. It's a very small group of organizations, about 40. Largely, these are country representatives and ministries within them. And that provides access to the Airbus data, which is only available at this level, and also the planet images rather than just the large area mosaics. But we wanted to touch on that point. I know it's not available to everyone, largely because it is a term that you may see in the documentation. And of course, we have outreach partners, Microsoft, Google Earth Engine, Esri, Mapbox, and many others as well. And the intention here is to really make this data available in the tools that you are using. So if you find this data is not available in a tool that is important for you, please let us know. We'd really like to hear from you and see if there's a way that we can help support making this data available in a tool that's useful for you. And just to wrap up, last couple of slides, just looking at different ways that you can access the data. So the data is available within Planet's own tools. So if you're familiar with Planet Explorer and Base Maps Viewer, that is where you can search and also download the data. It is also available as QGIS and ArcGIS integrations through a plugin. And all of this uses the same login that you make for your Planet NICFI access. And it's also available in Google Earth Engine, which was actually, I think, a year ago this week that we were able to launch the access to Google Earth Engine. And you will find this as a hosted asset within Google Earth Engine, and can use your NICFI account and link the accounts together so you can get the full benefit of the data being in Google Earth Engine for the analysis that you're doing. And my final slide, just as a reminder as to where to access, we have changed our launch page. We have many more resources. We have a QR code on the screen there, which will take you directly to this page, but I also include the link on the screen as well. We also have a service desk, which it runs 24/7. The idea here is to ask any questions that you have. If you have any problem accessing the program or signing up, or you have questions on how your use case might be able to make benefit of the program, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask those questions. We also recently launched on Twitter, so if you're interested in kind of keeping up to date with activities of the program, you can find us on the handle that's also on the screen. So with that, I will pass you back to Tom.
Lovely, thank you, Charlotte, for that fantastic overview. Those statistics there are incredibly impressive. I think you said 45 million square kilometres is covered over 97 countries. That really is an enormous amount of data, and a resource like which I think is unrivaled within our community, being to this degree of resolution and this widespread and of course freely available. So thank you kindly for that. We're going to zoom down a little bit now, go into a little bit more granular detail into one of those countries, hearing first from Cambodia, where we'll hear from Mr. Shivan Leng. So we have your slides ready to go, Mr. Leng. Sarah, my colleague, is about to share the screen now, which I presume is okay for you. If you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself just to confirm we can hear you. Yep.
I think you can share the screen.
Excellent, thank you. My colleague Sarah is doing so at the moment. Just bear with us for 2 seconds. I might have to share it for you. Just give me 1 second.
I think we can share from my side.
Okay, sure. Look, let's do that. That might be easier.
Okay. Where's share screen?
Sorry, Shivan, we've got it now. Sarah's been able to share it, so it's up now. Feel free just to ask her to change slides when you're ready.
That's correct. Okay. Also, good afternoon from Cambodian. My name is Chivan Leng, Director of Department of Geographic Information System, Ministry of Environment, Cambodia. Today, I'm very pleased to join GFOI, especially on the satellite program. Today, I'm Cambodian Environmental Management Information System. It's called SEMIS, and near real-time monitoring is going to apply to Cambodia. Thank you. Next, please. Yeah, to use what is from our department strategy to establish environmental geospatial data and information management of Ministry of Environment as a whole. So first, we would like to establish the geospatial information service in Department of GIS within the capacity to manage and operate as a central portal database within Ministry of Environment itself, and also the serve two other ministries jointly to the National Council for Sustainable Development. Department of GIS with the capacity to manage and operate the central database at the national level is to managing, providing access to environmental data and information to Ministry of Environment as a whole and to the other ministry and non-governmental stakeholder as well. Next, please. This is the purpose of our strategy to establish this environmental spatial data. So the concept before we are going to establish the geospatial platform established in this environment, is need to manage and provide access to environmental geospatial data and information correctly. This is armed to our establishment of ESDI. ESDI is provide policy and tool and framework needed to collect, analyze, store, and promote data sharing and retrieval among the user of spatial data inside and outside Ministry of Environment. ESDI reduce time work and redundancy of data production, interoperability, and data harmonization. Next point is allow to access and retrieval data from, and the last point is maintaining the data integrity and the data security. So this is the aim to our establishment of ISDS. Next, please. So the National Geospatial Platform is look like this. First, Cambodian Environmental Management Information System, it's called SEMIS. The upper one is the Central Data Management. It means that there are three components. One is web portal, including a national forest monitoring system, biodiversity data, etc. And the second is geostatistic, and the last one is data management system and mapping. And the second part is related to decision support tool. So we're looking for any decision support related to the forest monitoring system, related to the natural resource management system, and other climate change reporting system, example GHG inventory. Next, please. So this slide is it just presents the infrastructure of service establishment. On the left hand side is database. Is geo database. It consists of database of land use, conservation data, environmental data, economic data, and climate change data. So service will serve not just only Ministry of Environment, as I said, but also the external outside of Ministry of Environment from external requests. So we serve as on the right hand side, we serve as to other general directorate in Ministry of Environment, and the lower part also two other departments, example Department of Climate Change, Department of Green Economy, Department of Science and Technology, and Biodiversity Department. Next, please. Next, please. So our scope of work. Sorry. Back, please. Yeah. So our scope of work not just provide a quality of GS data, but we would like to expand our work as well. So first one is define and implement the standardize of the guideline, maintaining and updating the existing data. So we just would like to assemble all relevant data within our database, collect data from external source, commission new data product, coordinate with other ministry to improve database. Example, administrative data, cultural side, tenure, etc. So this data is currently low quality, extensive support need to multiple MOE-GEO database. Next, please. So I just bring you how service is work for data monitoring system. First, we're talking about the land use mapping for RED+. Develop national forest reference level, national MOE, especially the nested RED+ for the country, also for the project. Second is talking about law enforcement monitoring of protected area. So service will be support remote sensing data alert, drone investigation, and food patrolling. And also the last one is biodiversity monitoring of protected area. So these are the area of our forest monitoring system will work on, and service will play an important role to integrate, to assemble all these functions. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. So bring you an idea of land use mapping in Cambodia. From historical, we are already have existing data in 2005 and 6, the country assessment 2005 and 6, 2010, 2014, 2016, and the last one is 2018. So we also able to establish our 2 time frame. The first for reference level in year 2006, 2014, and recently is second forest reference level is covered from 2010 to 2018, and the red plus result is product of land cover land use mapping for year 2016 and 18. And the red plus result reports over the period 2015 to 2018, and plus biannual update report within the submission to the red plus result based payment. Next, please. So this is the land use mapping for red plus. And overall, under red plus, Cambodia is able to conduct land use and land use change analysis every 2 years, including the development of annual composition using cloud computing, using SEPAL and Earth and Google Earth engine, including new satellite data source, Sentinel and planets. And for the accuracy assessment, we use a high resolution for conducting the accuracy assessment, including collect Earth used for image interpretation of sample point with the historical image and the NICFI data. Next, please. So this is the remote sensing related to the alert system. So under project of sustainable forest trade under Lower Mekong region, we would like to testing our some provinces were located in the border, sharing border with Thailand. So there are 4 provinces and were selected as a pilot site to test the near real-time monitoring system. Next, please. So this is the we are using near real-time forest monitoring and validation with SEPAL. So we would like to assess the near real-time change assessment, and second point is related to the parameter adjustment to local condition, multi-view window with NICFI mosaic to turn parameter, visualization and reviewing of alert using planets very high resolution imagery, both in NICFI monthly mosaic and planets daily data. Next, please. So my conclusion and next plan, it would be there are 4 points. First point related to the testing of prototyping of the system and adjustment to the national data. So how how it adjusts to the national data. Second point is verify a lot with NICFI and data in SEPA. Third point is conduct ground validation and how to integrate smart patrolling data with verifying a lot, and how to integrate near real-time monitoring into our national system and the service. So I would have 2-point request. According to I just listened from our previous speaker. So I would request first point is related to NICFI data. So how NICFI would like to integrate to our SIMIS system for Ministry of Environment Cambodia. So would be appreciated. Example, we can use this data to improve our monitoring system, to improve our agriculture, to improve our watershed and mangrove area as well, and also related to forestry and wetland application. And second point, I also heard that they are available from satellite level 2 scene, like country of Guyana they are using. So we would like to request to access this level 2 scene to support our monitoring in the future. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would give the floor back to Thomas.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shivan Ling. That's a very nice way to round out your presentation with a couple of questions and requests for our colleagues from the NICFI data team, but we might ask them to visit those in the Q&A at the end. But thank you for the fantastic presentation. It's fantastic to see the shape or the architecture of your systems, including the roles and interactions across the various government agencies which are responsible for making land use management decisions and climate change policies and interventions. It's a very nice example, and also good to see the planet data being used, the NICFI data being used in the 2-yearly land use change analysis, helping out with accuracy assessment and some near real-time alerts for law enforcement in protected areas. So that's a nice broad range of applications of the NICFI data that we've seen just from Cambodia alone. So thank you again, Shivan Ling. Please stay on the line. I suspect our participants will have some questions for you during the Q&A session. We have about 130 people with us today, so please feel free to start typing your questions now, and we'll come back to those at the end, or if we can, we'll type some answers as we go. So use the Q&A box at the bottom. But thanks again, Shivan Ling. Now it's my pleasure to pass over to Mr. Hiru Sabrala Ahmed from Ethiopia to talk about the use of the NICFI data in his country. Over to you, Hiru. Have we got you there, Hiru? It's very soft for me. Sorry, I'm not sure if you can speak a little bit closer to the computer. If one of my other colleagues can confirm that it's not just me with the audio issue.
Yes, I cannot hear. Only you, Tom.
Thanks, Elisa. We can't hear you, sorry. Maybe if you try removing your headphones, perhaps, maybe try talking directly to the computer. Take your time. We all have these issues. I'm sure we will be able to fix this as quickly as we can. I see your. It's just very soft. I can hear you very distantly, but I can't make out your words. Maybe if you talk closer to the microphone. it's still not particularly good. Sorry, Hiro, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just trying to fix that for us for a second. And Charlotte and Louisa, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but just wondering if you had any reflections just while we're fixing the sound now on Mr. Shiven's points at the end of his presentation. Sorry to drop you on the spot, but any suggestions on the questions at the end, if Sarah can maybe go back to the previous slide.
Definitely. I took note of the questions. Maybe I can. So one of them was, yeah, sure. I can take it from there and Charlotte can help me answering. Maybe we can tag team here. So one of the questions was regarding level 2 access and what's the possibilities of getting on that level as well in the future.
Do you want me to answer that, Louisa?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So level 2 access is limited, as I mentioned, and at present, I'm afraid that all of the keys have been allocated. So it's not expected that we will have any spare keys at this time. It is something that we are looking at because we know we have some users who may finish the need for using their keys in the longer term. So we will have to come back to you when we know a little bit more. But at present, I'm afraid that there's no way to access that data separately. That being said, there are some historical data sets available that are also public. For example, the Spot World Heritage Programme, where the Spot archives from Spot 1 to 5 are now publicly available. That's happened during the time of the programme. So if you're interested in a longer term historical archive, there is actually another public source of data that isn't just say Landsat or older Sentinel data, but we can also pick that up a little bit on email as well. We get lots of questions about level 2, and yeah, of course we understand that there is a lot of interest there, but we do hope the mosaics, as it shows from your presentation, are providing benefit to the work that you're doing.
Excellent, thank you, Charlotte and Shivan Ling. I hope that answers your question. Very well done, Charlotte, in answering that one on the spot. Hiro, can we hear you now? Would you mind trying to unmute just one more time? Hiro, can you hear me there? Okay. I'm not sure he's quite able to hear us. Eric Lindquist, I'm not sure if you're on the line, but you potentially had a couple of slides that you were wanting to present about some of the work that CEPL has been doing with helping countries to use the data. Are you in a position to maybe present those now while we try to fix Hiro's audio issue? Sorry to equally drop you on the spot. Oh, just one second, Hiro, can we hear you now? It's still very quiet. Just can you try to talk a little bit closer to your computer, perhaps? Yeah, it's still not a good connection. Sorry. If you try removing your headpiece and talking close to the computer just one last time, will that work?
The pre-recorded video or presentation that I sent you. Yes, sir.
I'm still struggling to hear you. Sorry, Hiro. We might just ask to Eric Lindquist if he can perhaps jump in with some of the slides showing the work that the CEPL team at FAO has been doing, helping countries to use the NICFI data sets. That would be fantastic. Are you with us, Eric?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent, thanks, Eric. I'll work with Hiro to try and get his connection restored in the background. So thanks for saving me for a few minutes.
Yeah, no problem. I can talk for days or seconds, depending on what you need. So you just tell me, you cut me off when everything gets working, okay?
Michelle, go for it.
I'm gonna see if I can share my screen here too, which, fraught with fraught with possibilities. So hi, everybody. My name is Eric Lindquist. I'm with FAO, and I just can share some use cases, the way we've been making use of the NICFI planet data in our platforms and tools within FAO for forest monitoring. So I'm just going to show you some use cases about how we've been integrating these data in various applications, both for forest monitoring and otherwise, because of course these data are very good for all sorts of things. So the first off here are some tools we have available for active fire monitoring, fire size up, and post-burn, subsequent post-burn analysis. So these are these are applications we've developed and are sitting within the FAO SEPL platform, which is sepl.io. There's some information down there in the bottom right hand of the screen. You can go to that website, sign up for an account, and have access to some of these applications, or well, have access to all of these applications. So in this application, we're combining the firm's active fire alerts for the last 24 hours, 48 hours, 7 days, or any time in the historic period where they've been collecting active fire alerts from satellite imagery. You can analyze historic periods as well. And we combine those active fire alerts with concurrent planet data or the monthly composite. So if you have access to level 1 data, you can use the monthly data for pre and post burn analysis. If you have access to daily data, you can actually analyze daily progression of fires. This works with the Planet NICFI data, and it also works if you have your own Planet contract separately from the NICFI Planet. You just need a Planet API key, and based on your API key, you will have access to various resources within the application. So basically what you do is you choose the country of interest or an area of interest. You can draw a polygon, whatever you need. The time period of interest, whether it's the last 24 hours, 48 hours, 7 days, or any time period in the past. And then you can analyze those active fires. So here's an example over southeastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where we took you can see the active fires there from the last 24 hours. This was not the last 24 hours, but a 24-hour period sometime in the past when I prepared this slide. And then you can simply go from alert to alert and analyze the coincident planet data. So this is from the very same day that the alert, or this is actually before these alerts were detected. And you can actually see the start of the fire right there in the center of the screen. You can see a little bit of smoke there, and then you can see the alerts surrounding that smoke. This is then, so this is, you can see pre-burn, and then you can see active burning with an actually active flaming front there. And then you can analyze the images after the burn to look at post-burn, fire severity, extent of fire, that sort of thing. And this all depends on what you want to do with it. It could be, if your country or your system doesn't have an advanced sort of fire management system in place already, this could be used as an advanced fire size up and triage kind of system to let you know that there is a fire. Is it important? Do we need to do anything about it? Or do we need to go there after the fact? Or do we need to get people out of the way, let's say? Or do we need to go there after the fact and remediate or make sure that the environment is still okay, or we need to take some action there? Very cool, in my opinion, very cool application of both the active fire data that comes daily to us from satellites and then this planet data. So again, this is pan-tropical monthly data at 4.77 meter resolution, spatial resolution over all the tropics. It's an incredible data source and has really helped a lot of countries and a lot of people do things that they couldn't do in the past. Charlotte mentioned also the spot data availability. This is the spatial coverage of the spot data. So if you're in any one of these locations and interested in spot data, you can talk to NICFI or FAO. We can help you with this as well, and of course try to get this data put to good use. This is just a simple video of how easy it is using the CEPL platform to create a composite using the planet data. So you create a new recipe, select the planet NICFI data. You can select a country of interest or any area of interest really, and a time period of interest. This is for January through April of 2022. And you create a best pixel composite over all of your area of interest. It happens very quickly here because these data are, because there are only they're single monthly composites. You don't have to deal with, Planet has already composited the best pixels into a monthly composite. So you don't have to deal with the data volumes that you might have to deal with other satellites. And it happens very, very quickly. You can change the color, the band combination here from visible to near infrared to find out more information. And one of the coolest things about this data set is that you can actually operate on these data. This is not just for visualization purposes. Once you get a recipe like this or a coverage like this, you can then further analyze that you can classify it into a land cover classification. Does somebody need are you all ready for me to quit?
Feel free to keep going for another couple of minutes, Eric. This is great. I'm still trying to connect here, so please feel free to keep going for another couple of minutes. I'll jump in. Okay, great. So you can classify those data into a land cover classification at 4.7 meter spatial resolution. You can do a time series analysis. You can do all sorts of things with those data. The same things you can do with Landsat or Sentinel, let's say. This is an example of how we've combined all of the monthly and quarterly and biannual base map products into a time series of products and then analyzed that time series for losses and gains in vegetation over time. So the red areas here represent, of course, the more red an area is, the more extreme the loss is over time. The more green the area is, the more extreme the gain is over time. So vegetation gain, vegetation loss. And then, of course, you see that the different grades of colors, sort of the light green and orange colors, those are more subtle changes in subtle losses or subtle gains, which is very cool for analyzing things like degradation or reforestation or more subtle changes in the landscape. Oh, that's a video. Look at that. Forgot that's a video. So there are the planet raw data bands, the analytic bands themselves. You can see a lot of change happening in this landscape. And then when you look at the results of the time series, you can actually see again the strong changes, and both positive, negative, and also some subtle changes that might be forest degradation or land degradation and land restoration. This is an example of what the difference in spatial resolution makes to your potential results. So this is a time series analyzing Landsat data, which is still quite good, actually. I mean, you can still see areas of strong deforestation in the dark reds, but then also areas of like selective cutting, maybe some road building here, and some log, maybe some places where they collect logs from the selective cutting in the area. But if you also then look at those same data in the planet, the NICFI planet data, you can see such a finer scale, which enables even more definition. So you can actually start to see where maybe individual trees here had been taken. The roads are much more clear, and the spatial detail is much finer. So same study area, same time period, different data sets, and you can see a different set of features. This is again another example. This is over here's Ethiopia, in fact, where we took an area of relatively, I guess, drier forest area, and then analyzed. You can look at the upper right corner here of the screen and see the time series animated. And you start to see not only the seasonality, you can see the seasonality trends. So the green turns green, and then brown, and then green again. But you also see the month on month and year on year changes quite clearly. You can start to get not only at the area of change, the magnitude of change,
but also then the cause of change, the driver of change, whether this is small scale agriculture, large scale agriculture, timber, mining, something else. The spatial time step, the temporal time step, combined with the spatial resolution of the NICFI planet data, enable a finer scale analysis, not only of the area of change, but the drivers of that change. This is an example of how we're using the NICFI planet data for visualization and verification of drivers of change, or whether there is change, whether there's drivers of change. This is an application developed over the Central African region where we have sample sites established, and at each sample location, we can manipulate the planet data, the NICFI planet data, only just visualization here, no fancy processing, but through visual analysis, we can determine whether a plot has changed, whether it's negative change or positive change, and then also the driver of that change at each sample site. This is an example of how we're using the NICFI planet data for deriving land surface phenology characteristics. So this is where we take a time series of planet data or Sentinel-2 data, and then instead of looking at the time series in terms of every year or year after year change, we actually stack up all the years together, and then we can look at day of year changes over the time period, over the years covered by the time series. And this gives us things like start of growing season, middle of growing season, end of growing season, whether it's a double growing season, you can see that here. And also the magnitude of the green up, the magnitude of the senescence, all of that information which can help us say map croplands, for instance, separate crops from forests quite easily, and a number of other things that we're still actually really experimenting with. Those two images represent the difference between a Sentinel-2 land surface phenology product and a planet, NICFI planet phenology product. So again, you can see the increased spatial resolution, the effect of the increased spatial resolution. But this is some very cool research that we're working on right now. This is some of the same sort of thing that Chivan showed in his presentation about near real-time validation. So it works similar to the fire alerts, where if you have any near real-time or any point-based or polygon-based temporal information that you want to validate or verify, you can use the time corresponding planet data to verify that change. In this case, we have some near real-time alerts. So this was generated by an alert system, and we can see that there indeed was a deforestation event in this area, and then we can decide what to do about that, or we can simply monitor this area through time to see what happens to this spot. Does it regenerate? Does it stay deforested? Does it turn into some state of degradation? All of these things are possible with this kind of system. This is something we were working on, but now thanks to some of the advancements at Planet, if you order data from Planet, you can have the images pre-normalized, but we also have scripts for normalizing imagery. So this is raw imagery, and this is normalized imagery to. In this case, we're normalizing to Landsat, but you could normalize also to Sentinel or other sources. Anyway, it just makes a very nice image that then enables automated processing in a much easier way than non-normalized imagery does. This is an example of how we're using the Planet data. This is, again, level 2 data here. So it's a 3-meter spatial resolution to identify individual tree canopies in an otherwise very sparse tree environment. So this is in the Sahel region of Africa, and we can actually start to map individual tree canopies or clumps of trees at a very relatively fine spatial resolution, which is valuable for a number of things. Monitoring forests in sparse forest environments, monitoring trees outside of forests, monitoring trees in urban environments or in agricultural environments, and then looking at those, perhaps getting even to species and that sort of thing that are economically valuable for the local communities. All very interesting stuff, and all very, I would say, relatively new research that several groups around the world are working on, but still a very cool application. Here's an example of forest restoration. So we're looking at areas that have experienced an increase in forest cover over time. And you can easily see that this is a spot from Uganda, which was actively chosen as this was like a gazetted or a sort of a legally defined forest restoration site. And now we're able to monitor this site over time to see if in fact the rules and regulations they put into place in this area actually are doing some good. And you can see that if reforesting is what you're after here, there's a definite increase in tree growth. So what that looks like on these are the planet optical mosaics from the beginning time period and the end time period. And then this is what that looks like in the change detection product, the time series analysis. So you see both visually and analytically that there is an increase in vegetation cover in that area. And then you can just continue to monitor these sites over time. The CEPL project, of course, is a group of many partners all trying to work together to build useful algorithms and make sure to disseminate those algorithms, data, and tools to people around the world, so anybody anywhere can perform these analyses themselves and autonomously monitor their own land at any scale. So this works at very fine scale. So you could be, I think I saw a question earlier about a farmer, individual farmer in eastern Uganda. If you have access to the internet, let's say anywhere, this is possible to do for even a very small area for the size of, fields or parcels of land, basically. And some of these tools are, thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Eric. Sorry to cut you off. That was fantastic. You did a brilliant job.
Thanks for cutting me off. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It's amazing the capabilities that you have there in the CEPL platform, utilizing this data. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to resolve the issue with Hiru. Sorry, but what we will do is we'll get a recording of his presentation and incorporate that into the recording of the session, which will be posted to the GFOI website after this. But now I would like to pass over to our colleague from Planet, Louisa Teixeira, who's going to facilitate the Q&A session. Over to you, Louisa.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom. Actually, we had a question for Eric. So Eric, sorry, you should come back.
Perfect.
So this was a question that came up when you were talking about fires and fire monitoring. And Sunil wanted to know if we can analyze forest burn severity and if that data is accessible to all.
Good question. The data are accessible, so you can use the monthly base maps, the Planet NICFI base maps, just as they are. Download the pre-burn and post-burn area of interest there. You can download the pre-burn and post-burn area of interest and run. I don't think that you can calculate the normalized burn ratio from the Planet analytic data by itself, but you can use another indices like a vegetation index like NDVI, Enhanced Vegetation Index, EVI1 or EVI2, and sort of turn that into a proxy for burn severity. And then you can analyze those data. Immediately pre-burn is great, but then you can also analyze it in multiple time periods after a burn has taken place to look at vegetation recovery. So yes, that is possible. There are a number of ways to do it. Happy to help with the methods or any data access, methods access, anything like that. Please just get in touch with me or our team here at FAO. Be happy to help with that.
Thank you so much, Eric. I was typing your answer as you spoke. So we have that recorded. I guess, Tom, maybe Hiru is back. I think I heard some sound.
Yes, He seems to be Hiru. You've got your hand up. Okay, can we hear you this time, Hiru?
Maybe if possible, is it okay now?
Yes, that is better. Are you able to talk to the slides if we share the screen for you?
Yes. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No, I'm sorry we couldn't work it out, but I'll just ask my colleague Sarah to share your slides in a moment. You're coming through loud and clear now, which is fantastic. So we'll just wait a couple of seconds for Sarah to kick in. There we go. So over to you, Hiro. Please feel free to start talking as the presentation loads.
Okay, thank you again for, I apologize for the inconvenience. Maybe let me start. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I want to share you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Hayru Sabral Ahmad. I am directing Forest Resource Assessment and Monitoring Directorate in Ethiopia and coordinating forest-related MRV, including RED plus MRV. I'm going to share with you the experience of using Planet NICFI data in Ethiopia. Next slide, please. My presentation focus on 2 points here. One, how Ethiopia is using the Planet NICFI data, and the second one is how Ethiopia plans to use the data in the future. Let me start from the first. How is Ethiopia using Planet NICFI data? For the first time this year, we applied the Planet NICFI data for land cover change detection. The objective of the change detection was to monitor RED plus intervention sites in the southwestern forest block of Ethiopia for the period 2018 up to 2022. And the ultimate goal was to generate activity data for this area of interest. The proposed approach that we followed is the very important guiding principle number 1, which is the GFOI guiding principle for remote sensing, which states that when mapping forest or land cover change, it is generally more accurate find change or using comparing images rather than comparing classified maps, because as we all know, map has its own errors. So when we detect a change using maps, two classified maps, we are multiplying or duplicating errors. So this is very important principle that we followed, and we compared images rather than maps. Thank you. Next slide. Here are a set of world class tools that we have been using so far. For example, SAPAL, Google's engine collectors online, and the like. This is because, next slide, please. Sorry, here maybe a map or a picture with emoji is, for example, land. So far, many remote sensing specialists monitor using without these tools. So land monitoring with these tools, without these tools, or using the traditional way of classification is just a donkey work. But with these tools, life is simple. Next slide, please. The first step was acquiring satellite imagery or satellite data. This year we advanced from using low and medium spatial resolution to high spatial resolution. Thanks to Norwegian government for providing us this high resolution imagery Planet NICFI for the whole tropics. So here is our area of interest. The area of interest that we are going to we detected a change. And we identified some 357 planet NICFI quads for covering the whole area of interest. Next slide, please. The next procedure was creating mosaics. We created planet mosaics like for the 2 years, 2018 and 2022, using CEPAL. Next. Then the next procedure was data collection. As you see, we collected first around 22,000 training points covering the whole area of interest. Then we classified the map and we produced some 4 kinds of maps. I will come later for the maps. And in order to assess the accuracy of these maps, we collected some 1,500 reference points and assessed the accuracy of all the 4 maps. And finally, we arrived at bias corrected area estimates. Next slide. Let me show you some of the steps that we followed. For example, here is a CEPAL interface. We, for example, for the change classes, forest land convert to cropland, FSC is forest land convert to cropland. For this, as you see on the bottom, we have 2 planet mosaics. Planet NICFI for 2018. As you see from around, look at the cursor, the place here around the cursor. From 2018, shows that for us. Later in 2022 is the forest. So the rate is will start taking training points there. So
I think we may be losing sound. Don't know if you can speak up a little bit. I don't know if it was just me, but the sound was getting a bit lower.
No, it is the case, Felisa. Thank you. Hira, are you able to speak a little bit louder? Sorry, just one last time. I think we've lost audio altogether, Hira. We might have to revert back to our plan to include your pre-recorded presentation in the final video for the session and move on to the Q&A session with you, Louisa. Hira, thank you for persisting. There's some really interesting stuff there, and we'll be sure to share your presentation with participants as a standalone recording for us to look back on later. So thank you again. Apologies for the connection issues, and over to you, Louisa, to the Q&A session.
Hi, everyone. And yeah, I'm so sorry this is happening, Hiro. Your presentation was very interesting, and we look forward to seeing the recording later on. Glad we could hear your voice for some moments. So back to the Q&A. We have some open questions at the moment, and I think we have a few in the actual chat. Just want to check that, but maybe in the meantime, and maybe Charlotte can actually help me answer while I just make sure that we cover all the Q&A questions. The current question that we have open is if there's any significant difference in terms of spectral information between the monthly base map and using the PlanetScope data and the daily data.
Yep, I can take that one. So yes, so the monthly base maps that are available under level 1 are 3-band or 4-band, so including the red, green, blue, and near infrared. For a number of the kind of archive planet images, that is also what's available, 4 bands. However, some of the more recent planet data available in daily images is actually 8 bands. So some of you may have heard the term super dove. So some of the daily images have 8-band capabilities as well. So there is a slight difference, but really the difference in terms of benefit, which I think is related to that question, is you have the monthly coverage, which is a kind of consistent coverage, which will also allow you to understand what scenes have been used to make those mosaics, if that's important for the analysis you're doing. And then, of course, if you have specific date scenes, then that may also be useful. They're also at slightly higher spatial resolution at 3.7 meters. But unfortunately, those are only available at level 2 access. So our hope is that level 1 covers the majority of the requirements of those wishing to use this data.
Perfect. Thank you, Charlotte. I think now it could be interesting to go back to a question regarding like a very high level question. We talked about a lot of technical aspects, and there was a question that's kind of common, comes up always, and it's always important to address, which trains to the future of the program and what will happen after 2023, 2024. And if Karina would actually like to jump in on this one, I don't know if you are ready and available at this point, Karina. We can also do that later if later you are.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to help responding to that, and thanks for the question. And I'd like to say it's really great to hear that the program is so useful to a lot of you and the interest in the program. And so, as I said in the introduction, we decided to extend it for 1 more year earlier this year. So it's now scheduled to run until September 2023. And also, as Charlotte explained, there is an option to extend it for 1 more year under the current contract. Now, for sort of and also I'd like to reiterate also that the data that is collected under the contract that is now in operation will be stored and made publicly available also for the future. So that data will be available. When it comes to what would happen after this contract has ended, which could be either 2023 or 2024, we have started the process to look at what we think should happen. There is a lot happening in the Earth observation community, the forest monitoring, using satellites for forest monitoring and so on. And we are, as I said, just starting that process to look at what is happening, what do we think is the best way forward. There are a lot of other actors that are also engaged, and I guess that's what I can say at the moment, that we have started that process, that we are interested in working with other sort of key institutions in this field, and we'll keep everyone updated as soon as there is more to tell you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Karina. And I had in the chat basically gave as well a very summarized version of what you explained, of course, with a bit more context and information. But we hope to, and we like to receive this question, and we hope to get your feedback on this, because as Karina mentioned, it's quite an important aspect. I think that we covered this before, but maybe Charlotte, could you actually help recap in terms of use cases of the program and to what extent we can interpret them? And maybe I won't say the word deviate, but like, how can we interpret the tropical forest deforestation topic, and how this relates to potential other use cases? Because this came up a couple of times in the chat, and I guess it would be nice to just like come back to it. Maybe people were not here during the beginning of the workshop.
Yeah, sure. No, so it's a really good question, and one that we get quite a lot as well, in terms of, you know, is my use case something that comes under the program? And really, just to kind of go back to the purpose of the program is about reducing and reversing tropical forest deforestation. But of course, the application or the use case that surrounds that may not just be a forest management activity. It could be related to agriculture. It could be, you know, we have other use cases around mining and monitoring illegal mining, perhaps also artisanal settlements, and also movements of indigenous communities, and understanding their relationship with the forest lands as well. Obviously, indigenous communities are very important keepers of their lands, and likewise we have the private sector who are using this data in support of you know, monitoring the zero deforestation commitments that they have, perhaps for kind of commodity and supply chain monitoring. And so it's not just necessarily kind of strictly forest management and conservation activities in those senses. There are a number of different ways that you can use this data, and really, I guess the thing to echo is that the intention here is that this data is used for those purposes. Of course, there are some more I guess peripheral to tropical forest that would still be still be able to make use of this program. And if you have any uncertainty about if your use case fits, I encourage you just to reach out to us. I've popped the contact help desk in the chat, but I'll do that again in a second. And just feel free to reach out to us, and we can discuss that. I think in most cases that is approved, as long as that's within the bounds of kind of biodiversity conservation, and of course that the program covers the areas of interest. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you for the recap, Charlotte. I think that was quite useful to just contextualize it once more, because it can be a bit, it's a broad topic, so it can be a bit difficult to navigate. So I think that from the other questions, there's a general question that actually was also already answered in the chat regarding the different ways of visualizing the data and accessing the data, and what are the differences between them. And so just to summarize, and this was also covered in presentation, so to watch the recording, I'm sure Charlotte actually already touched upon this, but the data is accessible either as only a visual service, so for example through the Purpose Allies, Global Forest Watch, Map Biomas, Sentinel Hub, and also inside the FAO CEPAL. In CEPAL you can also analyze the data depending on the type of access that you're having and what you want to accomplish and how much you're working together with FAO. And you can access the data itself, so the base maps inside Planet's suite of tools and interfaces. You can use Planet's plugin to do this inside QGIS and ArcGIS. You can use Google Earth Engine to access the base maps, and I think, or directly the API in case you want to just retrieve that programmatically. We will be having additional Purpose Allies in the coming months. We'll always make sure to announce this to the community in case this fits your workflows or your use case better. And we also are open to get your feedback on this. So if there's any kind of workflow, technology, or platform that you feel would be very helpful to have the data featured in, or that would facilitate your work, we are very open to your feedback and really like to hear from you. I think we've been very good at answering questions actually so far. I would, if the people that joined later or anyone that's right now, anything is coming up, please just drop it in the Q&A so we can actually add it to our conversation right now. We've discussed level 2 and spot and the alternative ways of accessing it. It's also in the Q&A if you wanna go and take some references. For example, there's the Spot World Heritage Program, which would give you access to Spot as an alternative through, not necessarily through the NICFI Satellite Data Program, but directly via Spot, in case you want to explore that. And the latest technical questions are mostly directed at Eric and CEPAL, and we have already answered regarding where to access documentation and what kind of functionalities is available. So actually, Tom, I feel that we actually covered most of it.
Excellent. Thank you, Louisa. You've done a brilliant job to get through them all. There was a large number of questions there, so thanks to you and our panelists for addressing all of those, either in writing or spoken at the end there. We are unfortunately out of time, but I would just like to say a big thank you to all of our participants today. We had about 130 people on the call at some point, showing the thirst for knowledge and updates on this very important program and much valued program for the GFOI community. This session has been recorded. Apologies again to Hiru that we couldn't get your presentation live. We'll add that into the recorded version that goes up on the GFOI website thereafter. And any other questions that we've missed, we'll scan through those and try to get back to people on those as we can. But thank you again, of course, to our GFOI's leading partner, Norway, and the NICFI team for making this available, as well as KSAT, Planet Airbus, and the development partners, FAO, CEPAL, as well as the US Severe Program, Silver Carbon, GIZ, World Bank, and all of GFOI's other development partners who are supporting countries to use this data. Thanks to our speakers today, Karina, Charlotte, Ling Shivan, Hiru, Eric, and Louisa for the facilitation. We'll be back tomorrow with the French installment of this webinar, and then the following day, the Spanish installment. If you're interested in joining in another one of your spoken languages, please feel free to do so. Registration details via the GFOI website. But other than that, thank you all for joining. We hope it was useful for you. Stay tuned for more updates on the GFOI website, and hope to connect with you again soon. Thanks, everybody, and have a good day. Bye-bye.